Silver Birch, absolutely brilliant tree, native to the UK, and I've been saving this one for just this very moment. Look at it. It's ready now to do a little bit of autumn styling. There's just one problem. I really think I should have pulled this out quite a long time ago, because I did not expect it to root as it clearly has. And right now, that means there's one thing I really need to do with this. Leave it. Well, if we can't pull that out, we probably need to have a look at this one. Definitely seen this a few times on the channel. And I'm sure many of you are curious as to exactly how this Silver Birch is getting on. The one that I super glued quite a few years ago. But you know what? These are all in pots. I'm determined I was going to show you one that's not in a pot. So there's another growing bed we should go and have a look at. Well, hopefully this one hasn't rooted in too much. So we'll have a little look at this little, well, it's almost like a fusion. That should be fun to see. Hi, it's Xavier. Welcome to my bonsai retreat, and yeah, as you see, we're going to be looking at some different silver birches. The one I really wanted to look at, that great big one that's got an interesting bend in it, well, it's well and truly rooted, and well, I don't think I'm going to try and pull that one out now. I think I'll wait until probably late February and maybe have a go at getting that one out. But it's probably a big warning. If you've got stuff in buckets or in pots like that, and you've got them on the ground, do you know what? They're like plants. They root even when you don't want them to. So what I have got, obviously I've got this great big one here. This was originally dug up in 2015 and was just probably a 2-foot sapling, and really had no idea how to develop it, what to do with it. So, well, we all know what we do when we'd like that. We leave it. But eventually it's been in and out of the walls, and there's probably about 6 or so videos devoted to this one. And for the loyal ones amongst my subscriber base, you'll know there's a massive, great glaring problem which I still haven't made a decision on. And let's go straight to the chase. That's this branch right here coming out the same junction where we've got the main leader and also another one here. And the reason why I've had so much trouble deciding about that one is because I'm firmly decided that the front is somewhere there, and I see this at the moment as the only back or the back branch structure we've got. I am considering removing it. I think what I'll say is that I don't need to make that decision right now. I need to let the rest of the tree grow. We've got some pruning work to do on, which I'll go through in a minute, and it's not causing any particular issues with the structure overall. I just can't decide. So overall, we're in autumn. We're looking at the leaves. The leaves are all dropping without any particular issue, and I'm going to remove all those first. And what I'm going to do in this instance is I'm going to literally take everything right back to maybe 2-3 buds that are right back here. I know we've had all this growth, but what I don't want in 2026 is the new growth to come from way out here and then shoot out. I need to be constantly trying to push the growth back in closer to the trunk. Only then am I going to be able to achieve a much thicker, more ramified and believable bonsai structure. Well, that's the plan, hopefully. So again, there may be some of you saying, well, yeah, can't you do this in late winter, early spring? Isn't that the optimum time? And yeah, you certainly can. For me, what I'll find is that by doing this, I'm telling the tree where I want it to direct its energy now for the terminal bud for 2026. So that means next year I'm not going to prune off potentially a bud that's had the energy already directed to it. Well, that's the theory anyway. And actually, it'll give us a much greater spurt from the place we want it. So we've got all the leaves off, happy. I think it's amazing when you look at the shoots of a silver birch. It's probably one of the unique features is seeing that white speckled hardness that's all over it. It's that silver birch measles. But no, absolutely awesome. Definitely very, very unique for the silver birch. And I mean, as I say, they are a native in this country, and truthfully, they grow like weeds. And well, you only have to look in a couple of other of my sort of partial growing beds by my display benches, and I've got trees growing, which I'm going to need to deal with at some point, but they were literally seeds just blown in probably a year ago. Anyway, same old thing. Three processes to this, as I always do: base, trunk, and then remove the bits that are unwanted or I don't need, i.e. the buds I'm going to set up for 2026. So let's get in and look at this base. And for those who haven't seen this this tree, I mean, to give you an idea, I can actually wrap my hand right around it. We're looking at quite a big shaft or girth on there, and it's nothing better, isn't it, than getting a good grip on something like this. So first thing we'll do, get in there and get rid of all these suckers and little shoots like that, so that we can make sure no energy gets distributed where we don't want it. And you'll find that you'll have to do this again, probably this time in the beginning of spring. This one here, it's not actually going down anywhere, so what we'll do is we'll cut it right back. I'll have a little look in there. There's actually some small roots going straight down just there. What I'll do is just put a little bit of cut paste on the end. I may well get rid of that in spring, but sometimes you just never quite know how many roots are coming off that one. I quite like all this sort of structure we've got here. Got this here. The rest of these roots seem to be all right. We've got one poking up there. We'll get rid of that, and then just really want to go around and just, as I would do with all of them, I want to clear all this green moss off. I do find that the silver birches can have a tendency to rot from the base, and I think this has been in this pot now for about 3 years. Got my little nylon bristle brush, which I will use to help get more the moss and stuff like that off. So happy I've got the base sorted out. Moving up the trunk, it's very, very clean. What you do find is that you get these great big growths or swellings where basically the tree is trying to form new buds. I will often just bite these back a bit, and I find that this doesn't cause any issues with the tree itself. All you're doing is all the energy that's being put into producing little crotch growth is removed, and so I'll just nibble those tops off. And probably right now is a great time to show you the healing that's gone on in there. 2 years ago I used a compound to fill probably a hole that was going down about 4 inches, I think, and I hollowed it right out, filled it, and now that's stopped the rotting that I was so worried about with this one, and it's healing over really quite nicely. But where it's clearly rotten, which is what you can see here, then I'll bite those back. It may be eventually that this branch actually gets removed. The reason why that one was there is to do some more healing work on this. Just can see how that would look with that gone. Keep it for now. And you can definitely see that's pretty dead on top there. So I'm going to clean that right back to see to what extent. It's quite a lot actually. There we go, it's a bit of live flesh there. Live flesh. And you know, this is also a reality we all have to accept, is that once these things start getting these hollows in there, you are always going to be open to rotting. So I do need to get bring that down as close as I can to get rid of the rotting stuff off, and then put some of that treatment, wood treatment or wood preserver on there. But looking around it, I've got some wire actually that I put on earlier this year. It's not biting in, but I know probably the best thing to do at this stage is remove it. It's been on for at least 6 months. The branches have certainly set in the place that I wanted, so we'll get those off. You know me and wire, it's the one thing I'm likely to forget, but there's been a lot of growth, which is good because I've had concerns about it in the past. So let's get the wire off and then do some stubs. I'm going to get rid of all the dead stubs. So you heard me say that I was actually going to go right back and try and encourage some of the buds that are closer in to take over, almost rebuilding this, because this is quite old. It's allowed to grow out a long way. I now want it to push back and promote some of these buds right back here, which unless I cut back to them, they'll never ever produce shoots or viable shoots. So if we get in close, and this could be quite daunting, but I'm going to show you. We're going to do it on this, and then we're going to look at it next spring to see whether or not I was being too optimistic. But let's get in close and just see just how many buds we've actually got on this silver birch. Bearing in mind, what we're looking at right now is this here. All the way out here, we've got 12, 14, 16. There's nothing growing from this bottom bit here. I want growth from here. So as I say, all these buds here, the terminal one there, then loads back here, all very well, but they're nearly a foot away from the tree. We don't want any of those. If we look closer in, we could actually remove all of this. And if we look in here, 1, 2, and on this side, there's another bud there. And it's almost hard to tell they're buds. You almost think they're just growths or whatever. But these are the ones I really want to send some shoots out. So with that in mind, although we've got all this lovely ramification here, for me it's too far out. I'm actually going to take it right back, give myself a stub of about 1 centimetre to that bud there, knowing that what I actually want to happen is those buds there, I want them to come out, and that brings branching from a lot closer in. Because it's silver birch, because of the time of year, some of you may say that's quite a big cut. It's not, from my experience, but I am going to just dab a little bit of sealant over the end, just to protect it from drying out, or indeed from noxious, horrible things going in. Having set that as the length, bearing in mind this branch may end up getting removed, I'm going to have to be as extreme on some of these. And again, if you look in here, there's a bud there, bud there, bud there. So I'm equally going to go right back, cut to there, and if you look underneath here, a bud there, bud back there, and there's a bud there. So I'm going, there's a bud just there. And sometimes you think that seems a very extreme thing to do, but often when you're rebuilding, this is what you do need to do. For those of you who hadn't noticed, I'm actually using the hybrid cutter, which has got that rounded indent, so it actually cuts a little groove in. I could either use that, or indeed, if I wanted a more extreme one, I could use these. I find that it gives me a little hollow that I can actually get the cut paste or the stuff to sit in. So with those cuts made and sealed, all of you out there going, Zav, you just cut away all the ramification. Yeah, I have. I'm rebuilding it, but closer. Trust me. And yeah, for those of you who say silver birch, they could be really finicky. They might drop branches. They only drop branches if they're unhappy, unhealthy, or they've decided the branch that you're actually looking at isn't worth saving. And all of these have got lots of healthy growth on. Well, for the moment they have. And now I'm going to cut back, and bear in mind I'm already setting the line. I think it's going to be quite clear that, again, we're looking... got a lot going on up here. I could actually remove that. That means it's now going to send the energy into these ones here. But the reason for removing that is I'm now opening up this level here, which means when I get stuff growing from here, it's going to make a lot more, well, for me, it's going to look a lot more defined. Pads out this way, let's get the pads out that way, and then build on this one more of the apical region. What I'm looking for is the signs of any buds further back, and right here, right back here, there are 2 buds, and I'm going to go right back to them. And the reason why I go back to buds that are here is because this whole length has got absolutely nothing, and this is supposed to be right at the apical region, so it's no good. So there we go. So I'm going to be cutting all this back here, and you can imagine that's going to involve quite a lot of growth that's going to be removed. It's all been growing from this year. Not a problem. And for those of you saying, yeah, Zav, you know, that one that you cut off there, that's good ½ centimetre thickness. Surely that's a bit thick for doing this time of the year. And I'd turn around and say to you, yes, it's thick. It's as thick as the chopstick, but I've done it before. It doesn't cause a major issue, and what I am sure is so long I seal the wounds, so long I've got buds in other areas, the tree will redistribute the energy for 2026 to those areas that I want, rather than an area that's going upwards and creating conflict. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with doing this, and it's going to look very, very different, I think, in just a few seconds. Well, welcome back. It's half an hour later, and yeah, I really went to town. And for those of you who are like, you've done it again, trust me, this is going to definitely benefit the tree. To be fair, I reckon I'll go even further once we get past post-flush hardened pruning in 2026. But you know what? If there's any reason for you to make sure you hang around, that you've subscribed, you've hit bell notifications, it's got to be to either find out one way whether or not this was a bad or indeed a good pruning decision. Because I really have taken this right back, and trust me, it's going to benefit for it. It really is. We're going to get all the buds that are nice and close in. You're going to give us a nice, tighter, new, fresh shoots for 2026 that I can actually build a closer, much nicer canopy, everything from it. It's going to really, really do well for it. And in some cases, we've got buds really low down here and here, which means I could eventually remove that. Part of me does want to see how the rest of this responds before I do that, but yeah, I can imagine there's going to be some more big pruning work done in late May 2026. But look in here, there has been 2 areas that have got a little bit of rotting. In here, I need to put some preserver on there. Also here, there looks like there's a little bit that may be developing. I might do that in 26, but also, I mean, there you go, that shows you how bad the actual some areas of this tree is. But up here, again, there was a big branch that died off. I want to do some work on that. So I've cleaned it all out, and just using some of this Deadwood preserve that I get from Kaizen Bonsai. I've used it on my maples and everything else. I'm just going to give that a good liberal dose, and it's not like lime sulfur or anything like this. This is a preservative, so it's not going to have any harm or whatever to live wood. Certainly it's going to help seal in some of these areas that may be of concern. So once again, did I surprise anyone with the amount that came off? Because I don't suppose I planned that myself, actually, although it really did need to be done. And all I'm putting on now is some jadam sulfur, which is all about the winter spray, winter wash, to try and get rid of any of those bugs and all that sort of stuff. I'll apply this to all my deciduous trees once leaves have dropped. So hey, this isn't anything to look at right this moment, but even I can look at that and go, wow, there's a really nice strong primary, perhaps a few secondary structure going on there, and I just can't wait to see this in spring 2026. So let's have a look at something a little bit more rural, shall we? Right, so we've got this one which you saw me pull out of the bed, and it's got this great big thick knuckle of a trunk on it. Looks like I've wired it down. I can't remember how or what on earth I did with this. I don't think it's fusion, but what you have got is a nice clump of trees there. All that growth has done one thing. That growth was all about the roots, and we've got a nice sort of crop of roots there, but probably want to remove some of those. I can safely do that now. We'll just cut these off, and again, by doing that, there is still root growth going on. What we're trying to encourage it to do is, where we've done the cuts, we're going to get more division higher up. That's the theory. Truth is, I think I've ruined this pond basket already. Shouldn't really be letting all this stuff come out, but there's lots of fine roots there, and yeah, so what do I do with something like this? And the process for me for things like this, it's a young material, so you know, the temptation, I could just let it continue to grow out, thicken and thicken. Well, it's been doing that for a year, but for me, and if you've seen the way my trees grow, they grow quite slowly because I tend to go down the old clip and grow. So I'm going to bring this right back down, and when I say right back down, I truly do mean that. So I've got lots of little buds right in close then, don't want the ones underneath, so I'm just going to take it off from there, because I want these little buds that are in close to actually give me something. May well remove this small one out at some point in the future, but I don't need to make that decision yet. Just need to encourage some buds. One, two, three, and I will seal these wound tops. The other thing I could do is, of course, I could apply wire and just split and separate these out a bit. For now, probably get rid of that. I'd get rid of that centre one if I really could. I'd think about it. Imagine that, get rid of these two in the middle, then grow these three. But sometimes it's hard to actually see buds. And the thing I'll say to you is that with Silver Birch, often they'll bud quite happily from bare wood, lots of different spots. So I'll just take that top off just about there. And I think I'll do the same just about there. You know, early days, and again, all that happen next year, I probably won't touch it. I'll let it grow unhindered for 10 months, and all these wounds will have healed up, and then I'll come back down, do exactly the same thing again. Now, this one has always been a challenge to me. In fact, they both have, to be fair. And again, from here, if you ignore all that, it was again a 1.5 foot stump that I recovered from the ground, the same sort of time, probably the same style. It probably looked exactly the same, except this one, the entire central core died, and as you can see, there's been a lot of work had to be doing on rot and everything, which I did in probably a couple of years ago, when I really got in there, dug loads of stuff out from here, and again used this Deadwood preserver, and it's absolutely brilliant stuff. If you look at it, absolutely hard as, and it has stopped the rot completely, saving the tree. And I talked about I had to go with cyanoacrylate superglue to create these interesting bits of stuff sticking up. So, and normally with deadwood is if you leave it, even with the sharp edges, they'll just rot away. And the whole idea of the superglue was to try and keep some of these sharp edges sharp. Trouble is, the superglue turns it white, so it's not something I'd again or do again, but hey, it's interesting. The tree itself, it's a really challenging design, because as soon as the centre trunk disappeared, I was left with basically two arms at the back sticking up in the air, and you know, it's a really difficult one to do anything with. So I'm doing my best, to be fair, and you know, we've got this basic structure, but the same thing's happening again. The tree is foregoing all the lower stuff, all the closer in stuff, for everything that's up here. And if it was allowed to go its own way, those things would shoot up, yes, strengthen, but you'd get no buds closer in. And I need stuff right down here to try and develop a tree that isn't going to be much taller than that. So I'm going to go and get my eyes in, and I already can see buds right in close here. So again, here, definitely close in. There's a bud right in there, so we could see me losing all of that. And I'm going to do with this exactly what I did with the first one. I'm going to rejuvenate, take it right back to the earliest buds I can find, and see if we can't develop something afresh in 2026. And again, what I'm talking about, I mean, I've got this great big long growth and everything coming out, but actually what I really want is a bud that is right there. And that's only 2 centimeters away from this branch, giving me growth out that way. We've also got little buds there, there. There's buds just there and there. So the minimum, the absolute minimum I could do right now is basically cut those off there. But the truth is, I want that one. In fact, let's be really bold. There's no point going for second best. The only way that bud is going to be encouraged to go is if it's got nothing higher up. Just cut paste up the top of the wound. So while you're going off getting your cup of coffee, I am going to find ways of making this become a beautiful, beautiful tree in the future. And there we go, half of what it was. But again, I've gone back to places where I know, you know, little buds here, I'm going to be able to create secondary structure, which I want closer, and stop this long gangly effect. And hopefully, again, with this one, changes, doesn't it? I think it's going to be really, really magnificent. Obviously, you won't know until spring 2026, but let's give it a good spray up. And I think I'm going to surprise you with both of those. I suppose it would be foolish of me not to at least cover one of Tony's Silver Birches, which again, you saw when I did my update generally on Tony's trees. That was a great one there. Tony Higginson, an absolute legend in such a short space of time. But yeah, this one I said that I wasn't ready to prune it at this point. Well, the leaves have just fallen. I took the last 2 off today. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing to this. So let's see what I do. And there you go, cut right back. I still haven't decided. I may eventually just remove that whole side there and use that as the next line following that up. But if I was going to do that and use that as the main trunk line, that would have to be left to grow unfettered for at least a year. So I'll have a think about that over the winter, but I still like that that movement, and there is definitely taper on it. So that's the one of Tony's, and do you know what? Let's show you one of the other ones I did of his. This one is going to be a lot more interesting, very, very slim line. I've got a lot of extra growth at the top there, I'm not that bothered about, but I'm waiting for buds that are actually a lot lower down here so that I can take it back even more. And to finally prove that's not the only one I've taken back so hard, I've also got this little group planting, which again was probably about 2 foot tall, but there's loads and loads of little buds all the way nice and low down on this, and I don't ever expect this to be much taller than that, but I'll let it grow for a year, cut right back, grow for a year, cut right back. And in the end, it's that constant grow, prune back, which works so effectively with some of these native species we have. Same with oaks, so many deciduous you can do that with, especially the ones that produce these buds all over old wood. Really, that's all for the silver birches. I've got a few more of my deciduous that are going to be doing the same process with, but many of you are probably saying, Zab, I thought you'd go to Orkney around about now. In fact, I should have gone. Well, for whatever reason, that's fallen through. and my body's telling me I still need to have a break from YouTube. So I may well put out a short video on Tuesday. Might be to do with Marmay or something. I've got loads to show, but that's when I'll have the latest subscriber photographs. But otherwise, don't be surprised if I disappear for, I don't know, up to 2 weeks. And I don't have anything programmed for that. That's my way of having a proper rest totally from YouTube. So maybe one more on Tuesday, and then yours truly will have a little break until last week in November, probably, when we come back to do a couple of dig trees. Anyway, that's a great video to get you into the mood for digging trees in late autumn. Apart from that, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.